Yeah. In this video, we are going to discuss about the data types in C# language. So, data types in the sense similar to our C# is an where it is going to continue the hierarchy of C and C++ languages. So here also you are going to see the same kind of data types again. So first, coming to the number types. So number types can be of different types like this, where you will have short, int, long. So these are non-decimal types. Coming to the decimal types, we have decimal, single, and double. So single is nothing but single float. You can use the data type keyword float also. So these are the different data types available in C# language. So normally in C language we are going to have a range. If it is an integer, the range will be minus 32,768 to plus 32,767. Like that, there will be a range. So now here also there will be a range. In case if you want to remember all these things, there's going to be very big numbers. Instead of remembering, I'm going to teach you some shortcuts for this particular data type specification details and all those. One more thing, guys. So the keywords whichever I mentioned here, these keywords can be called as primitive data types. Primitive data types. So these are the shortcuts for a classes. So short is nothing but it is a shortcut of int 16. While writing the class, you remember the first letter will be a capital letter. So coming to the int can be called as int is referring the class called int 32. The long is referring int 64. So decimal, it is going to refer the class decimal itself. So float is going to refer the class single. Double is going to refer the class double. So the left side values whatever we are seeing, we can call them as primitive data types. So the right side values we can call them as the data type classes. Data type classes. So this is for number. So coming to the character types. So character types, again we have the primitive data types are char and string. So char is referring the class called character. So C will be capital letter. So string S will be capital letter. This is the class what we have for character data types. So other than this, we have the boolean data types. Boolean is nothing but where they are going to store only true and false. So bool is the primitive keyword and it is referring the class boolean. Okay. So these are the major data types we have. So let's observe in Visual Studio what is these are, whether these are referring or not. So I'm creating the same, I'm using the same console application which we used in the previous session. Yeah, now you can see this. So now here I'm going to enter short keyword. So I'm entering some short A. So short is the data type and A is the variable. Now anywhere in this line, especially on short keyword, if you press F12 keyword from your keyboard, so you can see it is referring the class, I mean struct and class are both the same. Int 16 it is referring. That's what I mentioned here. Short is nothing but int 16. So here if you observe, there will be two constant values for every numeric data type. So that is what maximum value, that is what minimum value. So whenever you are declaring a variable of type int 16 or short anything, so it can store a value between minus 32,768 to plus 32,767. Like the same, let's go for integer. If I write int a and F12 again, so you can see again it is referring the class or structure int 32. So again you can see a minimum value like this and maximum value like this. So what I am trying to tell you, instead of by hearting, you can remember all these things. You can use this shortcut and get all the details of that particular keyword. So like the same, you can go for long and again press F12. You can see long is referring int 64 structure. So where it contains the minimum value like this, maximum value like this, we cannot remember this much bigger number. So that's the reason I am trying to tell you the same. So now like the same we have float. You can see float is referring the class single. So the minimum value is this one, maximum value is this one, epsilon value is 1.4. So this is about the single. Maybe whatever the size is there, I will tell you one simple thing to remember. So after the dot, so it can store up to 6 decimal values. After dot it can store up to 6 decimal values. That is what called float. If it is more than 6, we are going to use double data type. So double, it is going to refer the capital D class double. So this is what the single and I mean float and double classes. So there is a class called decimal also. So decimal will refer to the class D capital letter decimal. So it is going to have the minimum range similar to like this of long. So maximum value of like this. You can store the decimal values by using this decimal data type. So coming to the character types, as we seen, we already covered this number types. Now let's see what are the character types. Character means every keyboard key is a character. So char. Now you can see it is referring capital C character. So /0/UFFF means, so in the keyboard every keyboard key can be stored in the data type of character. That's what we need to understand. So next, string. So string S capital letter always, because this S small always, because S small is refer the primitive data type. It will refer the major, the class of the capital S string. Okay. So strings have some characteristics. At the time of string class we can discuss them. Okay. Now the next one, boolean data type. So as I said, boolean will store only true or false. So bool will be used. If you press F12, it is going to target this boolean string. So it will have only two things, either it can store true string or false string. That's it. Okay. So these are the different data types available in our C#.NET language, and we have some more date, time and all those. So going forward we'll cover date, time, object. So all these data types are available. So going forward we can use them. Okay. So the next topic. So yesterday in this previous session example, so we had seen how to print something on the keyboard. So in case we want to read values from the user through the command prompt, so how to use that I am going to cover now. So that means yesterday we had given some output on the console screen. Now I am trying to read some input. So reading input will be different compared to output. So method also will get changed. Observe carefully. Suppose, so guys, for console right line there is a shortcut. You can type CW and tab for 2 times. You will get console right line. CW and tab for 2 times. So here if you see, here I am asking enter your name. Enter your name. I am asking user to enter name. So after seeing this, user will start entering some value. So you should remember one thing, guys. Even the console screen output or console, if you are reading input from the console screen, both will be in text format. Text format are nothing but string format by default. If I am passing something to the screen, I am using the word write line. Line means group of characters. Even to read the input also, we are going to use a read line. Again, it's a collection of characters, nothing but it's a text. We can use the data type string for this one. So that is the reason string some underscore name is equal to console dot read line. As I mentioned, you have a method to read input characters from the console screen. That is what console read line. So now we got the name. Let's see. Yesterday also I said there is a debug point, right? So I want to see how the main method is working. Again this against to this opening of the main method, I can click here, or else you can press F9 key, as I said, a shortcut of keeping a debug point. So because I just want to see whether how it is working, this working functionality of the main method. Now I am hitting F5 key. So or else I can click the start button. So now I can see the execution line by line. So the execution was started. We came to the line number 10. From here I can use the debug point and I can execute line by line. F10 key is the execution shortcut for line by line. So now first As of now, this console screen is empty. After completing line number 11, you can see on the console screen it is asking enter your name. So since it is right line, the cursor is waiting at the next line. So now whenever I will hit F10 key again, it will take the input from the user. Now you can see this, it is asking input. So suppose I am entering some name. If I hit an enter key, so again the cursor will come here. If you take mouse on top of this variable, you can see the name which I entered into the variable name through the console read line. So we had entered some John. This value was stored into the variable name. So I can pin this. This pin symbol will help me to see the data inside the variable. That's it. You can hit an F10 key. Execution was completed. It is waiting for a key, so it is getting closed. So this is how you can see the execution line by line also. So now you got the name. So I just want to print it back on the screen. So guys, whenever we use plus, that is what called concatenation. It is going to merge a string and another string, or else string and another data type also. When there is a combination of string, you can use a plus for joining other values also. So now if you see, welcome is one string and underscore name contains some name entered by the user. So these two I am making a concatenation. Concatenation is nothing but merging or joining two or more string values. So now I can hit an Fi key or else click the start button. So it is asking the name. So I am entering some name. You can see welcome hyphen. This is one string. Whatever the value is there inside the name variable, so I can print that. So if I surround this by a string, system will treat it is a string value, not a variable value. Okay, if I execute now, underscore name will print as it is. You can see this. So that's the reason for always variables you should not surround them by semicolon, quotes. So this is how you can print some value on the you can print some value on the screen, and you can read input from the end user also by using the console read line method. Now let's go with another example. Let's make it big program. Let's ask enter your first name. So this is underscore f name. Let's make it like this. So now enter your last name, some L name. So here what you will do, welcome plus f name, first name, plus space, again plus underscore last name or L name. Okay, if I execute, so it is going to be print like this. Okay, so this is how you can concatenate a string, but this is entirely old model, and these plus symbols will make us confused. So we have two options in case if you want to print such kind of strings. So we are going to use console write line. Here you can use this argumented values, this zeros and ones, whatever we are writing, we will call them as argumented values. So welcome comma as it is. So wherever you want to print first name, you can use some angular brackets surrounded by 0. 0 means after closing of the double quotes, after keeping a comma, whatever the variable you will write, that is going to replace the value of 0. So now if I write like this, so in place of this 0, this first variable value will get placed here. So after that again 1, 0, 1. So it is going to replace by the second value we are mentioning after the closing of the double quotes. F name will be saved at 0 location, L name will be saved at 1 location. Like that you can continue. It's a index, argumented index. So these are all arguments. So these arguments will store in an order of 0, 1 with starting from 0. So if I execute, you can see it is going to give you the same result. No change at all. So even though if it is still confusing you, in latest version of C Sharp you got some additional shortcut for this. Before double quotes you need to keep a dollar. Before double quotes you need to keep a dollar. So as this you are going to write welcome. So instead of placing these zeros and ones, since it is confusing me, so in an angular bracket directly I can write which variable value I want to print. So welcome comma, after that first name variable value will get printed, and after that L name value will get printed here. Now again execute. So you can see this one. So these all three output will be same. These are the different methods. The first one will be used with concatenation operator plus. The second one will be used by command arguments. The third one will be used by printing the values, variable values directly inside a quote, double quote. So I hope these all are clear. Now next we are moving for, so how to read another data type other than strings. So as of now we are reading strings from the end user, right? So in case if you want to read any numeric value, so how the program is going to be, that is the next step. So first console write line, enter a number. We are asking user to enter a number this time. Suppose since it's a number, I am taking an integer variable, int a is equal to. So we have only one method to read the input from the end user, that is what console dot read line. Console dot read line. But if you see our compiler, our IntelliSense is going to give us an error. So if you take mouse on it, you can see, you can read the error. Cannot explicitly, just a second, cannot explicitly convert the type string into an integer. So because by default console read line will get the data in string format, because we are using command prompt between user and our C# program. So command prompt always will take input in string format, and that will give output also in string format. So that is the reason you have to convert this console write line into an integer. So there are different ways to convert this, guys. So the option one is you can use whichever the data type you want to convert. I want to convert it in integer format. So you can write in that, there will be a method called parse. So this parse method will helpful to convert string formatted value into the respected format. So I can pass this console read line into parse method. So this parse method will convert the data in integer format because we used here int dot. So now you got the value. So just increment it by using plus plus, and let's print it again on the screen. So if I hit an F5 key and execute it again, so if I enter 10, it will convert into 11. So that means the value was converted into integer format properly. Guys, you should remember one thing. So we are going to thought that we are using the parse method, so that can convert anything into integer format. I mean respective whatever the keyword you will use. So you can see this. If I give numeric values, it will convert. If I give any character or wrong input in the particular input for this program, it is going to throw an error. Remember carefully, even though it is a parse method, it will convert the values which are in string format, numbers in string format. Only those can be converted into the respective formats. Otherwise, it will throw an error. It should be a number only, then only it can convert. Okay, so this is one method by using the parse method, and we have the second one. So here let's do a addition operation. Enter first number, enter second number. So int b equal to. So instead of using int dot parse method, there is a class which can convert from any string formatted to respective formats. There is a class called convert. So in this convert we have several methods. To int, you can see to int 16, to int 32, to int 64. If we want to convert it into short format, I can use 2 into 16. If I want to convert it in integer format, I need to use the method int32. If I want to convert this into long, I need to use int64. So I can use int32, and as usual I will pass this console readline. So this is one method and this is the another method. So now let's perform the sum of A and B is A plus B. So here we are going to place the A value, here we are going to place the B value, here we are going to place the sum of A and B. So now let's compile it again. So 10 and 20, you can see the result like this. The sum of 10 and 20 is 30. So you can convert the values by using the integer format or else by using the convert class also. So this is integer. If it is short, you are going to write short A is equal to short dot parse. So short B equal to convert dot 2 int 16. So it will work like the same, no difference at all. 10, 20, 10 plus 20 is equal to 30. So next time whenever I want to work with long, so I can use long dot parse. So here also long B is equal to convert dot 2 into 64. You can see this. So if it is float or decimal double value, so we are going to use double is equal to double dot parse. So double is equal to convert dot 2 double. So like that you can use the decimal values. You can see this one. So this is how you can read values from the user by using the parse method and by using the convert class also. Okay. So suppose if it is a decimal value, for string and character you no need to convert it in any other format. So because by default the input is in string format. Let's see how to take values for boolean. So again, so enter result example. So bool some res is equal to, either you can use as is bool dot parse or else you can use convert dot to boolean. So console write line res. Now you can see it is asking the value. So I am passing true. So the result is true. So boolean values can be read like this. So these are the different ways available where we can read input from the end user. Next one. So along with the parse method in every class in the sense even integer, long, short, double, float or anything. So we have one more method is there called try parse. Along with the parse method we have try parse also. So try parse is going to be helpful and checking the whether the conversion is successful or failure. So the same example again, if you see, enter a number, int I is equal to int dot parse of console dot readline. So I plus plus console write line of I. So if you observe carefully, if I execute this program, when user is entering the proper value, the program is giving no error. Suppose user is giving some wrong input, the program is being stopped, it is not continuing further. So in a user point of view, user cannot understand why the program is stopped. Correct? So we have to handle this error and we have to intimate to the user that you did wrong because you entered some wrong value. So that's the reason we are unable to convert the value into the respective integer format or long format or short or double, decimal, boolean or whatever the thing. Okay, that is the reason to handle such kind of errors, instead of parse you can use the method try parse. Observe carefully. So as usual I am asking user to enter a number, so int I is equal to, here if you observe, let's not pass directly, so we are going to use like this, int dot try parse. So first here you have to pass two things. The first thing is, so what is, where the input is coming, which input you want to convert into respective format. Always input I am taking from console read line. The second one, if this particular console write line contains all integer values, so then where it need to get saved, it need to save in I. So this method is using out parameter, that is the reason you should mention it as output. That means this try parse method output being passed in this particular I variable, that is the reason we are using out keyword. So about this out keyword we are going to discuss in the further videos, because there is a topic called ref, differences between ref and out keyword. At that time I am going to show you why we placed this out keyword. So here as of now you just remember this like this. So after completion of the conversion of this console read line, whatever value you will pass, so when this input was converted into this respective format, then output will be saved here. Okay, so now you can see, if I execute this program, so first it is asking the value, I am giving 10, there is no error at all. Suppose if I give wrong input, even though you can see there is no error, it is not stopping the program, so it is handling. But how I can come to know whether the conversion is successful or failure? So this try parse method always returns a boolean value. This try parse method always returns value. You can see true if the value was converted successfully, otherwise false. So according to the result that is coming from this try parse, I will decide whether the conversion is successful or failure. So some bool result. So here I can write a logic like this: if result equal to false, I can print an error message, please enter numbers only, if not, in a console write line, so we can make an increment of the tie value, and then I can print the value on the screen like this, after increment we are printing the I value. Sorry, we are using this, right? We can directly pass I. Now I am executing. If I pass a value, proper value, you are getting this proper result. After increment it is 11. Suppose if we are passing a wrong input, you will get an error like this, please enter numbers only. So like the same, you can use short dot try parse, you can use long dot try parse, you can use double dot try parse. So these try parse methods will be helpful to check whether the conversion is success or failure. And one more thing, it will help us to handle the errors which are raising through the wrong inputs from the end user. So this is how you can convert the values from user entered by the user by using the try parse method and try parse method both. Okay, so I hope this had given you a good clarity about how we can read input from the end user and how we can convert into the respective formats, because the values always coming from the command prompt in a string format. Okay, thank you.